Okay, well, some really interesting stuff came out of that, and I think it was very valuable. So, I mean, to start with what Yasin said, it was really good for him to be here though, because that's actually someone we met when we started the interventions in the strike disputes in 2013. We met him on the picket line, and we established good links between the Marxist Society at UCL and UCL Unison. And now he's here, able to address the conference as a whole and so on. And he was talking about just basically chatting with the staff on your in your university. That's really important, and obviously goes for students as well. Don't think of yourself as only wearing your Marxist hat when you're in the society meeting or anything else. Go out onto the campuses and talk to people. Get yourself known as, oh, that Marxist person, yeah, that's the Marxist. And then when something happens, when there is a bit of a struggle, when there's a strike, when there's a bit of a dispute about something, someone will come and ask you for your opinion and ask you what you think, and that's also how you get to know what's going on. If you have that reputation as the political people on campus. And yeah, these questions about like encouraging workers to join unions and go on strike and so on, we should do that, and we should combine it with demands on the leadership of the unions themselves. We're aware, we've published articles about the inability of the UCU leadership, for example, to push the strike action all the way to its conclusion. They consciously seem to de-escalate that strike action. Or we should encourage people to join the union and say, join the union and fight for a real kind of real change. Demand that the leadership of that union go on strike and fight for their workers, their members, and so on, and push for more demand. Join the union and don't allow them to de-escalate in this way. That's how we should put it to people. Never just kind of join the union without saying why we need to join the union, what a union is capable of, and so on. Questions about the living wage and zero-hour contracts. I know a lot of universities, there are campaigns in some places that we can and should get involved with. Again, push the demands further on the leaders of these things. Talk about what can actually be achieved through these campaigns and why it's important to get involved. So look into that. I encourage you all to go back, look into the living wage, anything going on about 0 hours contracts. Obviously it's a big issue, particularly for young people. Arslan spoke about the PTUDC, and I think that's really a potentially really valuable thing for us to be able to do, because it will allow you, and I encourage you to take all the bulletins that he's got there and he showed you, to take them away and distribute them, and go along to, for example, your local trades council on behalf of the Marxist Student Federation and present a case for affiliation to the PTUDC, to the Trades Council, or a local trade union branch, or something like that. Talk about it, that because the conditions of trade union work in Pakistan, as Arslan outlined, are dire. It's incredibly dangerous to be a trade unionist, fighting for workers' rights and everything else. Because the system, the nightmare of capitalism in Pakistan, the system is so corrupt and degenerate that they have to attack these union leaders. They can't really allow serious, powerful workers' organisations to exist. So we are able to draw political conclusions out of that as well, about the need for a transformation of society, basically, the fact that you cannot defend and fight for workers under capitalism in any kind of serious way. We can draw the political lessons by carrying out this kind of activity. Ed spoke really well on the NUS, and I think running delegates for the NUS is something all societies should consider, and do it on the basis that he described, that he talked about, as Marxists, as revolutionaries. Not talking in the abstract about those things, obviously, but as Ed said, like with concrete demands, abolition of fees, and for free education for everybody, and so on. Concrete things, but things that, if you think about them, require a fundamental transformation in society. And as he said, we don't water down our programme because we're not interested in capturing positions. We're not interested just in one position here or there, because that won't make a difference. Ed explained that the NUS, to become a fighting organisation, that's going to require pressure from below, from the mass of people. It's not one or two Marxists who capture a position, who can heave with all their might and move the NUS. That's obviously not going to happen. It's a mass movement that's going to change things. As things pick up, that they're going to change. And that's what we'll see in the future. For now, that's not our task. Our task is to prepare for that by talking to people about Marxist ideas, about what the NUS should be doing, and as things develop, those ideas will get an echo. But it's important that we prepare for that now. Stella spoke about the Mexico solidarity work, and that's all that, like the example of UCL have done excellent work with that, and we should pay attention to that. And this question of the inefficiency of the union when it comes to passing resolutions and so on, you get that everywhere. Every single union, more or less, every single student union will make it difficult to pass resolutions. There'll be all sorts of bureaucracy. They will advertise how you do it. This goes for NUS delegate elections as well, by the way. When we're running national campaigns like this that require this kind of thing, we've got to be prepared for, if not active sabotage by the union, at least massive inertia on their part. We're going to have to try and navigate that ourselves. But I would also point out that it is not, we should be careful not to spend all of our time in battles just us and the union bureaucracy. The way you get the union to do anything is with a mass movement, is with lots of people putting pressure on the union. So if you come up against barriers that can't be knocked down very easily, then build support among ordinary students or rank up for ordinary young people you meet on the street and so on for whatever it is you're trying to push through. Get them to all come along to union meetings, get the whole society along to a student council meeting and kick up a bit of a fuss, put pressure on them in that way. Don't play by their rules essentially, because they're bureaucrats and they will win. They know how to do that much better than we do. We're much better at organising people on the ground and causing a bit of a fuss. And yeah, the pamphlets as well that were produced by the comrades for the Mexico Solidarity Campaign. That's an excellent example of why it's important that we understand the theoretical basis for these things that we're talking about. Those pamphlets are really good because they go into questions of Marxist theory. And for that reason, they're very popular among Mexican students and other students in London and across the country. It's because we have political clarity that we're able to gain more of a voice. And that's why it's important that our activism is guided by our theory. Che spoke about the value of international solidarity and coordination of the movement across countries. That's really important, and as things develop across the world, we'll have to keep our eye on that. In Britain as well, we have an incredible number of international students. Almost every university has international students. I mean, just here we've got people from all over the place. Or from various different countries, basically, and we'll be able to connect with those layers in a much more effective way if we kind of are aware, discuss, understand, analyse what is going on abroad, and produce material, leaflets, find issues we can campaign on that basis. So keep your eye out for international questions as well. And Che also said that they provide these international things, they provide concrete examples that we can use to back up the theoretical points we're making. The theory doesn't exist, it's not just entirely abstract. The Marxist theory of the state, for example, is shown in kind of laboratory form in Mexico, with the links between big business, the drug cartels, and the government. And it shows how the state is the executive of the bourgeoisie, exactly as Lenin wrote about. So these kind of things provide concrete examples for the sorts of ideas we're discussing, and as was said, we can learn a lot from what the comrades abroad are doing. I think Aquile's point was really important, he made it very well. Not much to add to that, but just to basically repeat what he said, which is the importance of distilling the ideas and the movements that are going on into concrete slogans. Things that don't just express, it's not just a description of what's going on, but something that can push the movement forward. This is where we need to go next. A slogan that basically comes out with something like that. That's something that should be discussed in the Marxist society. If something is going on campus, or nationally or internationally, talk about it, and talk about what our slogan should be, what we should say when we're talking to people about that, and then maybe put it on a leaflet or something else. A last few points. I think this question of university funding that Ross and the Swansea Marxists are talking about, that is something that affects the whole country. That is something the Marxist Student Federation could do nationally. I'm looking forward to this article from the comrades and to see a resolution, hopefully, that they will be working on. And that's something that I think should definitely be picked up nationally, that we could really make something of. Because it goes into all kinds of questions, links between university and big business, what is education for, and the role, what happens basically under capitalism in crisis, where it has to tear open new sections of the market to find new areas of profit, has to privatise, marketise education, make it a question of business instead of education for its own sake. So it raises all these kind of questions. And yeah, on this question, this point made by Joe, which was very good about kind of freedom of speech, questions of race and its relationship between national and religious divisions and the class struggle. All of these things that we're talking about, all the campaigns that we could potentially do and all the issues that are coming up, they all have these underlying questions which, well, we should launch campaigns on these things, but we should also use the Marxist societies to talk about these underlying theoretical questions, which are very important. Things like freedom of speech, things like the national question, religion, and so on. The societies should discuss all of these things, get to grips with what it really means, and then use that then in the campaigns that we have on these particular issues, the meetings we hold and so on. And finally, just on what Adam said, the importance, basically, it goes back to what I said in the lead-off, that we need to connect with these layers of people who are looking towards us. On a lot of campuses, there is nothing else, or the things that there are, they've been discredited, or they've got degenerate leaderships who don't do any politics or anything else. We have a clean banner. We have a banner of revolutionary socialism, which in this period is incredibly attractive to a lot of people who are really angry at the situation and are looking for a way out, and they can't see it anywhere else. But as Adam said, we have to look broader, we have to look wider, we have to get out there, talk to people, find these people, and draw them towards us, educate them in our ideas. Because there is this politicisation, it was mentioned earlier today, and has been mentioned before. There is a politicisation of young people. It's not the case that young people don't care about politics, or they're not interested and so on. Just because, for example, a lot of them don't vote, that means nothing when it comes to whether these people are aware of what is going on in society. Or just because there's a low number of people, young people, for example, in trade unions, doesn't mean they're ready and willing to fight for the rights of workers. It's just that they don't necessarily look to those things, first of all, because of the betrayals of the leaderships and so on. But the anger is there, and we absolutely have to find a route to these people. That is the purpose of this document, that's the purpose of this discussion. And that really is the purpose of the Marxist Student Federation over the next year, to find that route to young people, work out what it is, what the best tool is, the best vehicle for meeting people who are angry, who are ready to change the world, who are revolutionary, bringing them towards us, and then training them up as revolutionaries in this organisation.